Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Business Over Breakfast. My name is Ben Barber. This is
Is
Justin
Justin.
Gunterick. How are you, Justin?
Good, man. I'm tired. The gym upstairs from my shop opened up. And as part of my supporting the local community, I decided it's time for me to get in shape. So I just spent the last half hour working out at Fit Spa,
That's
and man,
awesome.
I just got it handed to me. It's been a very long time since I hit a gym, like probably 20 years.
That's awesome. Well, how do you feel?
I feel really good. It's just very hot, sweaty, but good, man. It's good. It's good to take steps in the right direction. It's good to do the right thing, and just happy I could help support another little business.
Yeah, absolutely, and support yourself, which is very important. I just went for a walk, and I changed it up today. Um, Today's kind of a special day. I mean, not in a great way, but it's a special day. So I walked to the high school, which is near my house, and there's a plaque that remembers my friend's father. And I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't think I've ever seen the plaque actually in person. When I went for a walk today, I sort of added that into my routine and went over there, which was really nice. Uh, but yeah, it's hot. It's hot out there. And you know what else is turning up the heat? You like that segue?
I did. I
There's
did. That was classy.
Thanks, man. There's a petition going around that I think that you have something to do with. At least that's what the news media tells me. So tell us about the petition on change.org, which you can get to by going to the link in the description of this episode and down at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris Parisi over at Trailblaze, who's been a great friend and mentor, and at this point, a business partner, for lack of a better term, came up with this really great plan to try to help us. So the state was allocated $1.25 billion in federal CARES Act funding. That funding was to be dispersed out to medical supplies, and it's in basically dealing with someone that was financially impacted with COVID-19. I think we can all agree that small businesses and businesses, for that matter, have been impacted probably the most outside of the health sector of the pandemic. So basically, we signed a petition for Governor Raimondo to allocate a minimum of 10% of those funds. So $1.25 million is sort of what we're asking for here. We've sent it out. We've got about just over 800 signatures in less than 24 hours. We're coming up on that 24-hour mark around noon. So if we
Yeah.
could get 184 more signatures, everybody, please. But
Yeah.
I'll let you jump in there.
Well,
You've been a big part of this as well.
thank you very much. Not nearly as much, but I'll take the credit where it's given. So thanks. Today our guest is in charge of one of the big business associations in the state. Here in where I'm from, which is Westerly. And he's also a town councilor and a small business owner himself. And he was a part of the broadcast yesterday with the lieutenant governor announcing the petition, and he was one of the business owners that came on and made the plea for this petition. So, and he's also a good friend. So here he is, Caswell Cooke. Hey,
How are you?
Caswell. Good. How are
Well,
you?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, good. Just another day here in paradise.
I know I'm running from place to place now. I'm in my office and my printer's not working, so now I got to run around and find a way to print something. It's just every day is nonstop, and I get people calling me every day now with all sorts of issues related to businesses and openings, and it's a tough situation out there, and there's not a lot of help except from the lieutenant governor's office. He's my go-to person.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what this would mean to the businesses in Westerly, the small businesses in Westerly, and the beach businesses, which have definitely been impacted by a shorter season. And then also, can you talk about the school reopening situation at the
Yeah,
end.
well, I mean, every day that we're not open at the end of the summer is millions of dollars a day for the state of Rhode Island. So when the governor just sort of unilaterally said we're all going back to school August 31st, which is a full week before Labor Day, I mean, that's millions and millions of dollars for the state of Rhode Island. And so I signed on to the petition that McKee circulated, but couldn't get my council to support it, couldn't get my school committee to support it. I don't know. I guess they like being told from on high when they can open and close. It's very aggravating to me. People just a lot of times don't get what the small business situation is. And when you take a seasonal business, whether it's Newport, Narragansett, or Westerly, and more so a place like Westerly and Narragansett, we have 8 weeks. We've got 8 weeks to make money. And so you're always battling things. So, what we battle in Misquamicut is that we have the largest state beach in the state of Rhode Island. So Misquamicut is the largest revenue generator for the state as far as beaches. We also, as far as all of South County, the 11 or 12 towns in South County, Westerly generates well over 50% of the hotel tax. I mean, that's huge that we're more than 50% of all of South County. And so every day that we've lost is revenue for our town and for our state. And it's hard to get it through to, as my fellow town councilor Brian McEwen calls them, check collectors. It's hard to get through to the check collectors the importance of things. I've had in the past where, someone, it's like the day before Memorial Day weekend, and a huge place on the beach is waiting for like one certificate from the state, and they call up and say, "Well, Joe's off today. We'll get it to you Tuesday after the holiday." What? They don't get it. And I'm selling a business to somebody right now that's supposed to go through today. And I went to the town hall and said, "Look, these guys need to get open this weekend for at least for their parking lot, $20, $30, $40 a car. That's big money." "Yeah, they're going to have to wait for, so-and-so and this and that." And I'm like, you just don't get it. So I think part of this petition is that a lot of the governor's staff doesn't get it, because they don't own small businesses. And I think it's really important that we sign this petition so that, hey, can we get a piece of this too? There's no provisions for seasonal businesses, for instance. I mean, not that I'm looking for a handout, but my business, because of circumstances and all the rules, the place where I have my restaurant has decided not to open this summer. Well, so I don't have a business this summer. First time since 1993, since I was 19 years old. I don't have a summer business because of this crap. And there's nothing out there for someone like me. Not that I'm looking for it. I'm lucky I have another job, whatever. But it's like there's a lot of stories out there like that, that just had a conversation today, and then I'll shut up for a second. But a guy called me, and they've decided to close the sewer treatment plant for haulers for 3 weeks in July because of a capacity issue. 3 weeks in July. I mean, that's when they pump the most crap, to be blunt. and everybody makes more money in the summer for the most part. And septic haulers are one of them. And you can't get the guy an answer. "Oh, well, we've got to do this and we've got to do that." Well, couldn't you have planned it better than July? So these are the kind of things that are really upsetting to small business owners, and that I deal with on a daily basis. And the only advocate that I ever get is the lieutenant governor. I just gave Lieutenant Governor's number to the septic hauler guy. I said, you got no satisfaction anywhere locally. Let's ask Dan.
Yeah, I think, like you just said, you get it nowhere else. Same thing with us. Like, I'm a small business. There was a lot of restrictions with the PPP. We're a new business, and my business partner's been doing it for about 10 years. I've been doing it for 10 years, but we finally got rid of everything, combined into one house. And, we weren't eligible through all that stuff. And yeah, we made it work, and we got through it. But, now we're to the point where businesses are starting to open a little bit. Marketing dollars are the first ones to get cut. Firms like mine, we're not getting, 1,000 t-shirt orders, for, the beach places. How many times do I print Block Island and Rhode Island and Misquamicut? Like, we're just not getting those orders. We're not getting those sign orders. We're not getting t-shirts. I mean, it's just a trickle down effect. And it's just tough. And like you said, nobody gets it. And, the LG really does seem to get it. He cares. And, it's great to have that voice. And, even beyond the petition, I just think the benefit of, getting, right from the Gift It Forward, like 1,400 places in a week, and, getting 800 people in less than 24 hours to sign up for this really shows the power of the small business community that we're all a part of. So, hats off to you. I know you've been a big advocate and a big voice to this, and I'll let Ben go from there.
Well, I know Caswell has to run pretty soon, so I just want to give him an opportunity to plug some of the stuff that they have been doing, because the beach has been, I mean, it's been a fortunate situation, but it's also been something that I know was kind of thrust upon him without even knowing at one point that the drive-in's really the only place that you were allowed to do things. So you guys have been very nimble and sort of turned everything around on a dime, and gotten mobilized really quickly. Can you tell us some of the stuff that, I mean, I know all about it, but can you tell us some of the stuff that you guys have been doing and plug some of the events coming up before you have to go?
Sure. Well, I wanted to go back real quick before I answer that question to what Justin said about small businesses and, these numbers. When you get this amount of people to sign on, people don't realize it, but yet they do realize it, because every politician, you always hear them say the same thing, no matter what office they're running for across the nation. Small businesses are the backbone of our country. How many times have you heard? But they just don't act like it. So that's just a comment on that. As far as Misquamicut, it's like, well, it's like anywhere in the state. You can't go to a bar. You can't sit at the bar. You got to, have this 50% thing or whatever, 66%. You go to places, there's plastic in front of everything. I mean, this is the reality we live in. And so obviously large events that we've had, whether they're fireworks displays or festivals, there's the Charlestown Seafood Festival, there's the Newport Folk Festival, all these things, Washington County Fair, they can't happen. So we're no different than any of these other things. But what was lucky was we started a drive-in movie theater about 10 years ago, and I had no idea. It was something we opened like 3 days a week for fun. I had no idea that would become like, I'd be a drive-in operator 7 nights a week. But it's like, Wesley High School had their graduation there. I've got people having dance recitals there. We had this Garth Brooks concert thing that was streamed that we had on Saturday night. So we're doing comedy, we're doing bands, we're doing national acts, we're doing local acts. It's really amazing that we've sort of figured out a way, and I want to say to get around it, but we were told very early on by the governor's office that, yes, you can open your drive-in, at 50% capacity with these restrictions. So following all those restrictions and guidelines, we will, move forward. And so we've got something almost 7 nights a week as far as that goes. And we're just encouraging people, when you come down to something like the drive-in, stop and get food at a restaurant, patronize the different businesses and things like that. And that's what we're really trying to do, to try to keep things working and keep things moving. So we've been pretty successful so far, knock on wood. It's just a lot of juggling and, a lot of red tape and a lot of, BS most of the time with all this stuff. But we're making it work. We're sanitizing things. We're wearing masks. We're doing what could be expected. But the one thing is we're bringing a little bit of joy to people. If I could tell you how many people have sent in, Facebook messages or on Instagram or just in person saying, thank you, that there's something we can do with our family. And I think that's really cool. So that's what I've been pretty proud of this summer so far. So it's a strange time. It's a weird time. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are hurting financially. So our little drive-in theater in Misquamicut is one bright spot in the whole thing. So come to the drive-in.
Awesome. All right, Caswell, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on.
And please, and he dropped his phone. Oh, man. When you're
That was
not
a
in your
mic
house,
drop,
you're all
mic
messed
drop.
up. All right, share this stuff, will you? I know that you do. So, all right. Well, have you ever met Caswell, Justin?
In person, no, but virtually about 1,000 times over the last, 3 or 4 months.
You unfortunately have not had the. I'm gonna put pleasure in quotation marks. I mean, I love him, but he's an insane person. most of the business meetings that would, because we have a lot of the same circles around here and do a lot of work together. Most of the business meetings that we end up having is just everybody having business, and he's just like doing his laundry on Zoom and like cooking lunch for the kids and stuff. Like he's just fully on and like just moving the phone around the house to wherever he needs to be. Like it's hilarious.
He's straight up. He's adapted. It's COVID times, man. COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's and so many people have had to adapt, and we just had a great story about how the businesses in Misquamicut have had to adapt, and that's something that's a big deal. Especially there's so many beach towns and tourism places in Rhode Island. It's such a huge industry that the sort of arbitrary August 31st before Labor Day return to school was definitely something that was interesting, and you've heard the lieutenant governor talk about it on one of his 2 shows, so that's really interesting. There's so many different ways that the small business community, which the WPRI article that came out that pointed out, small businesses make up 99% of Rhode Island businesses. And I think I said yesterday, like, nobody in this town goes, "What's your favorite business?" Walmart. Like it's not that's not your community. Your community is not these big businesses. If they were gone, I think you said, if they were gone, you wouldn't you would drive down the road and there'd be nothing to do, nothing to see, nowhere to go, nowhere to work. And it's really important. So I encourage everybody. We're getting so close to 1,000 in 24 hours, to 1,000 signatures in 24 hours. The real goal is 10,000 signatures. It shouldn't be a problem. I mean, there's over 1 million people in the state. So please do it, because it affects every single one of us. And if these small businesses die, a lot of them won't come back. So, Justin, what else you got?
Yeah, no, I took a second to just really think about some businesses, as you and I were just talking about. Like, yeah, if these businesses die off, like, you're right. Like there's nothing there. I know we've said that before, and we were just talking with Kaz about that, and it's just like, you really think about, even you and I, look at what we did with our parents maybe like 10, 15 years ago, the places that we went to. Look at Inn and Hope. It used to be a thriving department store. I remember going there as a kid. We'd get like the snack bar, and then we get to go on the little Ferris wheel thing that they had inside. And once you started seeing like the bigger Kmarts and the Walmarts and the Targets of the world, that that trickled down to putting them out of business, closing stores, scaling back their model, making the stores small. And now you look, and something that's such a community spotlight to us, like is now going out of business. And sure, was it affected by the COVID situation? Sure, absolutely. But in the biggest scheme of things, it was that that big box mentality that kind of pushed them down, and this was the icing on the cake that kind of set it in stone for them. But you just look at places like that, or Benny's. It's just that the mom and pop mentality slowly starting to go away, and we just, who's ever left, we got to make it, and we got to band together like we have been, and let's get our 10,000, let's get our 1,000, whatever it is. I think to this point we made a damn good voice, and we just need to keep treading that water and going upstream.
Absolutely. And the people that are behind this are so passionate about it, because it's not only their livelihoods, but it's everyone's. It's that's the thing about this, is that like it's not just your business, and it doesn't just affect you if you own a business. If you have a favorite restaurant, it affects you. If you have a favorite place to get coffee that's not Dunkin' Donuts, it affects you. If your if your kid goes to karate class, this affects you. If you get your hair done anywhere, this affects you. Like, this is all This is everybody. It's all of us. It's everybody. The 99% of businesses in Rhode Island are small businesses. That means that they are by overwhelming majority, by a unanimous majority almost, the lifeblood of the economy in Rhode Island, but more importantly, the fabric of the community are these small businesses, because they're the ones that help organizations. When your kid plays Little League, they probably don't go out with a Walmart shirt on. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to be picking on just one company, but who cares about them? Honestly, but that's what I mean. Like you don't go out with like a GE shirt on your Little League. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no the community, the places that raise money for the local community organizations, the places that are sponsors, the places that donate money and food when things happen. They're the local business community that feed into the nonprofits, and it's cyclical, and they help the schools, and it's not just about the economy, and it's not just about money. It's about how you live your everyday life.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at it in the sense of, like you were just talking, it's really like that family mentality. I'm a small business owner. I support a small business. My son, just like I said yesterday, went back to daycare, and it was like a really cool moment. But we've become really close with those daycare. So if now my business goes under, I can't afford to send my son to daycare, so now their enrollment goes down. Now they need to find jobs. It's just the impact of what is going on is just so huge, that there's no one answer. There's no one solution other than coming together and becoming one community. I think that is like the true statement. You might not have a small business, but I can guarantee your life is impacted by a small business, as you just said.
Yeah. And let's bring up specifically the petition, because the petition is not asking for much.
No, it's really not. I mean, 10% seems like a big number, and 1.25 million seems like a large number. But when you look at what the state has, the $1.25 billion, it's really not that much. And I get it. I really truly see both sides of the spectrum here. I could see that maybe the governor wanted to take a step back, make sure that from the health standpoint we were going to be okay, that we're not going to get a second wave, we might not get any more funding. Let's make sure we have enough funding to take care of the first part of this, which is the health. But the big second part is the small businesses. So now we've done A, now let's do B, so that when we need round two, we have C and D. And as you just saw it up there, is some states are donating like $400 million, $200 million. One state was doing $2,500 checks that they were sending out, to anybody that basically signed up and said, hey, I'm a business, I need money, here's $2,500. There's no right or wrong way to disperse the money, and that should really be up to the governor's office, and maybe a pool of some people, maybe an outreach phone call. Hey, how can we work together? How can we do this? We just need to set aside politics, and I think that's what it really comes down to. Is Kaz was saying that the check cashers. Right in Warwick, there's a new place, Warwick House of Pizza. It's a father and son bought out the business. Was trying to help them get some permitting stuff done yesterday. They just changed the word that was on there to the word Warwick, and they cannot collect any money from their credit card processors. And the town hall was just like, yeah, it's going to be a process. You got to do this, 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 and this. And it's like, that business isn't going to survive. So you're not going to have to worry about collecting the check money for the permit. And there are rules to follow, absolutely. But at some point, we need to just step back and say, well, what are we really doing here? Where's the politic line end, and humanity come into play?
Yeah, absolutely. And you just said, forget about the politics. This isn't a political issue, right?
Right.
Like it's really not, and it's a if you want to get political about it, it's a completely bipartisan issue. I mean, there's you know, Caswell is an independent, but he has very differing political views from the lieutenant governor, who he's very good friends with. The there are people all across the aisles that have conservative views, liberal views. They're business owners, but or not business owners, or patrons of, or just literally just a human being that exists in a community. you know and that's what's important about this, is that it's about community, and it's about helping these people survive in the community, and it's not about politics, and it's not about you know it's literally like you said about the daycare situation. You know what I mean? Like there are things that have a ripple effect, and they're very dangerous ripple effects, because if if the beach closes down early, and not because of like the health reasons are the health reasons, and I completely support all of that. But if it's arbitrary, if it's arbitrary, then you have to follow it all the way through, because if the beach is going to lose business, then they're not going to order the shirts that say the town name on them to sell them. So because school has to go back a day early, or because these funds won't come in to be saved for whatever reason they would be saved for, that business isn't ordering a t-shirt from you. You can't send your kid to daycare. The daycare company can't go to the local fine foods grocery store to get the friggin' cucumbers that they prefer, so it affects the farmer. You know what I mean? Like it's insane, and all of it comes back to like helping people out, and just because then the thing, not only does the beach not having that affect the farmer, but also like your kid doesn't get to go to daycare. And how about that being important, because all of these kids are affected, and like it's the whole community, it's an organism that lives and breathes together, and you have to do things that are beneficial for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like even my business partner, his daycare did close. They couldn't make it through it. And it was just like, okay, man, this is like, how can we help? What can we do? And it's tough. It's tough. And I think this is the one thing that can bring us all together and, really help, even if it's $1,000, that's $1,000. Like, that's rent for a lot of businesses for a month. So that's one more month to get through that hump, to say, okay, well, I don't have to worry about my rent for this month. So let me focus this month on stashing some money aside so that I can make rent, in 2 months. It's just, we're so close. We're so close. I think the governor's office has done a great job again with the health aspect of all of this. Obviously, the numbers don't lie. The state has been a forefront in all of this, and I think it's now time to pony up and let's make the state the forefront of this. I feel like we're one of the smallest states with the biggest small business community, so we should be setting the example for the rest of the country, not the other countries setting an example for us.
That's beautiful. Lori said you guys are great. Lori, we think you're great. As a matter of fact, Lori, we think that you're so great that you're going to come on the show tomorrow.
And she's going to tell us how to say her last name.
Yes, absolutely. Lori from Visual Thrive, and also, a part of the Gifted Forward team from rismallbusiness.org, and is running the RI Shop Local. Is it Rhode Island shoplocal.com? Lori, put it in the comments if you're still watching, and I'll put it up before we go. But I just want to encourage everybody to I just want to encourage everybody to go to the link that's in the description of this video, rismallbusiness.org/petition. It brings you to change.org, and you can sign the petition. It might ask you, if you want to leave a donation. If don't do that, you don't have to do that. I mean, you can if you want to help change.org, but which is a great organization. Jatari.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And shoplocalrhodeisland.com. Thank you very much, Lori. rismallbusiness.org/petition. It'll bring you to change.org. Sign the petition, please, and then share it. That's what you can do to help. Share it. Tell your friends. Ask people to sign it as well. It's something very small that you can do that will help millions and millions of people. It will help everyone in the state. So, Justin, you can have the last word, and thanks, guys.
Go sign up, go share it, go like it. It's free. It takes a minute. Please, I never ask people for help, and I am begging people that in the next 3 hours to really help us make that impact. We need 172 more signatures to meet just our goal for this part. Just do it. And thank you.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow with Lori Jatari.
See you in the morning.